All right, let's talk about Samsung. For ages, they've been trying to find a real answer to Apple's super secure Face ID. I mean, sure, their phones have Face Unlock, but let's be honest, it's just not been on the same level. Well, a brand new rumor is making the rounds, and it suggests that might finally be about to change. It's all thanks to something called Polar ID. So let's unpack this thing.
And really, this is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Has Samsung finally cracked the code for a true rival to Apple's Face ID? For so long, Apple has held the crown. They've been the gold standard for secure 3D facial recognition. But this new leak, it's hinting that Samsung isn't just trying to catch up. Nope, they might be trying to leapfrog the competition entirely, coming at it from a totally different angle. So, to really get it, let's look at what we have now versus what's being rumored. Right now, on a Samsung phone, Face Unlock is basically just a 2D picture from your selfie camera. It's fine. It's convenient, but you're not going to use it for your banking app, right? It's not that secure. This rumored Polar ID, though, it's a whole different ballgame. We're talking about a secure polarized light system that's way, way harder to trick. And the best part? It might be able to do all this without needing that extra bulky IR hardware that creates notches and cutouts. Okay, so we've got this cool name, Polar ID, but what in the world is it? Let's get into the nitty-gritty of what this tech is supposed to be. Okay, the fancy term for it is a polarized-light authentication system. It sounds super technical, I know, but the basic idea is actually pretty genius. Instead of how Face ID works, shooting a bunch of infrared dots at your face, this system would use the properties of polarized light to build a really detailed and secure 3D map. And here's the key takeaway, the big so what. You could get that top-tier Fort Knox level security without needing a big, ugly notch or a huge pill cutout for all the extra sensors. So where is all this coming from? Well, it all started with this one post on X, or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. This right here is basically the patient zero of the whole rumor. The leaker claims that buried deep inside some early test firmware for the Galaxy S27 Ultra, a phone that's still a couple years out, they found a reference to Polar ID v1.0. That's pretty specific. And the leak gives us a little more than just a name. We get a few more pieces of the puzzle. It looks like it's tied to some very specific hardware, like a front-facing ISOCELL Vizion sensor. And for security, it supposedly uses a brand new secure enclave called the Biofusion Core. A secure enclave, if you don't know, is like a tiny digital vault on the chip, made specifically to keep your most sensitive data, like your face map, safe. Okay, that's the what and the where. But now for the most important part, the why. Why is this such a big deal, and how could it actually change the way you use your next smartphone? Let's get into it. First things first, speed. We're talking ridiculously fast. The rumor claims an unlock time of just 180 milliseconds. I mean, wow, that's faster than the blink of an eye. You wouldn't even perceive it as unlocking. Your phone would just be unlocked the moment you look at it. That's a massive, massive improvement in just the day-to-day feel of using your phone. But look, speed is great. But here's the real game changer, security. The biggest knock against the Face Unlock we have on most Android phones right now is that it can be spoofed, fooled with a simple photo or a video of the owner. A system like Polar ID, which creates a genuine 3D map of your face, would be so much harder to trick. And that is the holy grail, right? Getting the effortless convenience of Face Unlock with the rock-solid security you actually need for your banking apps and mobile payments. Now, this all sounds incredible. Almost too incredible. And for a leak this big, it's really interesting that it all seems to be coming from just one place. So let's put on our detective hats and take a closer look at the source of this whole thing. Yep, the entire story traces back to this one user on X, at Spygo19726. They're the one who says they saw the goods inside that S27 Ultra firmware. And that's important because this isn't a situation where you have multiple different leakers all hearing the same thing. Right now, it's all coming from a single point of origin. And you know what that means. Whenever you have a single source for big rumor, you gotta take it with a pretty big grain of salt. As cool and exciting as all this sounds, we have to pump the brakes a little and actually look at how credible this whole leak really is. So the tech site WCCF Tech, who covered this story, actually has a rating system for this stuff, and they gave this Polar ID rumor a 45% plausibility score. Now, what does that mean? It means they think it's plausible. It's not just a wild guess, but it is far from being a sure thing. Okay, so why only 45%? The details sounded pretty specific, right?
You might be wondering why they're being so cautious. Well, it all comes down to the source's recent track record and a little bit of online drama. So here's the deal. The tipster who dropped this Polar ID news was recently in a very public, kind of messy spat with another, more established leaker named Ice Universe. They were basically fighting online over the camera specs for the next Samsung phone, the S26 Ultra. And look, when leakers start getting into public fights like that, it just makes everyone question their reliability. It casts a shadow of doubt over everything else they say, including a blockbuster leak like this one. Which brings us right back to the beginning. What are we to make of all this? Is Polar ID the real deal? The future of Samsung security that will finally give Apple a run for its money? Or is it just a cool codename for an experiment deep inside Samsung's labs? A little glimpse into their long-term dreams that might never actually see the light of day? Right now, your guess is as good as mine. All we can do is wait and see.